to be here. My name is SINDISWA CHANGUION, and thank you for joining us both in person and virtually. I am bestowed with the responsibility of officiating the program for the FIPSA 2025 Indaba. It is long overdue, ladies and gentlemen, and I need to firstly applaud the FIPSA MENCO for putting this together. Can we give them a clap? Welcome to this pivotal gathering. As I had indicated, my name is SINDISWA CHANGUION, and I have the astute pleasure for today to serve as Master of Ceremonies in what promises to be one of the meaningful days of dialogue, of thought leadership, and progressive action. This is with the theme of collectively contributing towards an efficient ecosystem in South Africa, immigration ecosystem in South Africa. On behalf of the leadership of FIPSA that is present here today, we would like to begin by formally acknowledging and observing protocol in welcoming all the esteemed dignitaries, respected stakeholders, and valued delegates, both in attendance and online. I would like to begin in terms of honoring in person our dignitaries that has graced their presence with us here today. I will begin with Mr. Taufik Rigo from the Indonesian Embassy in Pretoria. I would also like to acknowledge our dignitary from the Kenyan High Commission in Pretoria, Mr. David Wambilianga. We would also like to welcome and thank you the Consulate General of India in Durban, Manoj Bharti. We would also like to send our gratitude as well for the presence of the Consulate General of India in Durban, Mr. Adir Vasantali. We would also like to honor the presence as well of the Consulate General of the Kingdom of Lesotho in Durban, Mr. Rabelang Tuela. We would also like to honor the presence of the Director Corporate Accounts Department of Home Affairs, Mrs. Pindiwe Mbele. We would also like to honor, in accordance from the Department of Home Affairs Portfolio Committee, Ms. Nicole Bowman. We would also like to honor as well, in accordance, the former Acting Deputy General Immigration, Department of Home Affairs. He has retired, Mr. Mudiri Matthews. I had a privilege of actually speaking to him just now. We would also like to honor from the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition Commission, Mr. Floyd Malulege. We would also like to honor as well from the Department of Trade and Industry and Commission, Ms. Siphephetho Griffiths. We would also like to honor from the Department of Labor, Ms. Nonhlanhla Ngwenya. We would also like to honor from the Department of Labor, Mr. Lucky Swari. And we would also like to honor as well from the Department of Employment and Labor, again, Mrs. Zanele Dlamini. Online, we are joined by delegates and dignitaries that I would like to honor as well. Mr. Botu Mazinyane from the Botswana government. We would also like to honor Obakwe Munamo from Botswana government. We would also like to honor Tolotolo Musengi from Botswana government as well. The dignitary as well that needs to be honored is from the consular section of Embassy of Peru, Mrs. Stephania Fox. We would also like to honor from the South African Honorary Consulate in Bangladesh, our delegate, Kazi, MD Mohamed Kazi. We would like to also honor from the Department of Trade and Industry and Commission as well, Mrs. Velna Barnott. We would like to honor as well from the Department of Trade and Industry and Commission, Mrs. Marion Comrade. We would like to also honor from the Department of Home Affairs Portfolio Committee online Mr. Adrian Rose, and we would also like to honor from the Embassy of the Philippines Mrs. Ana Angela Kabelen. From the FIPSA MENCO, the Forum for the Immigration Practitioners of South Africa, their Management Committee, I'm going to call them by name and would like them to please stand so that the delegates in presence here can be able to see them and get to know them, because this is a day of dialogue. I would like to call upon the National Chairperson, Mrs. Gershon Mosiane. Can you clap hands for him, please? Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Would like to also call upon the Vice Chairperson of FIPSA, Michelle Mbaka. We would like to also call upon the Deputy Vice Chairperson, Legal, Nadia Haynes. We would also like to call upon the Treasurer for FIPSA, Mr. Henry Harper. We would also like to call upon the National Secretary, Gerda Roth. We would also like to call upon the Chapter Chairperson for KwaZulu-Natal, Ms. Nasrin Bart. We would also like to call upon the Chapter Chairperson in Gauteng, Ms. Belinda Donation Happers. And last but not least, we would also like to call upon the Chapter Chairperson for the Western Cape, Mr. Rod Maxwell. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As of South Africa comes at a time where the socio-economic and political dynamics of the country calls for dialogue. And in calling for dialogue, FIPSA being in existence for so many years, decided that it is going to be the one that will be able to look at immigration issues and put them into the fore with regards for it to find an expression in the discourse, in the political discourse and the economic discourse and the social discourse that we actually do have in this country. And within doing that, this was an opportunity for FIPSA MENCO to put together the Indaba of this magnitude. The fact that all the delegates from the respective countries are here to be able to engage, to be able to peruse on issues of immigration reform, to be able to peruse on issues of skills development, to be able to peruse on issues of economic development. It is one of those issues in this country that needs to find an expression. And we are glad, ladies and gentlemen, because our program is filled with expertise, that was filled with experts that are going to be dissecting all the subject matter that we just alluded to right now. So FIPSA has deliberately positioned this Indaba not as a typical conference where ideas are discussed and left behind. Instead, this is envisioned as a national networking hub. It is a convergence point for expertise, for innovation and partnerships. It is a space where dialogue transforms into solutions and collaboration that leads to reform. To this end, we are joined by a host of thought leaders and key role players, both from the public and the private sector, and these include, as I had alluded to in my introduction, the delegates from the Department of Home Affairs, the delegates from the Department of Employment and Labor, the delegates from the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition, the delegates from SAQA, and of course the leadership of FIPSA. And each will bring valuable insights and into their roles and responsibilities, including interventions towards building an effective and inclusive immigration ecosystem. We encourage each and every one of you to please, whether seated and join us virtually, to actively engage and contribute and collaborate throughout today's program. Your voices, your questions, and insights are vital to shaping solutions that not only address immigration challenges, but also promote social cohesion, investment, and national development. The FIPSA Chairperson, Mr. Gershon and Mosiane, on the stage to open the official ceremony and set the tone for our day. Can you welcome me, ladies and gentlemen?
Ladies and gentlemen, I greet you in the name of peace. Today is the 22nd of October, 2025. It's a historic and emotional day for FIPSA. But before we start, I wish two things to be attended. One, I've been given 15 minutes. I'll sacrifice 2 minutes of that 15 minutes to afford everybody here to just hold a silent moment of prayer in your heart. That's number one. After that, I wish for us to observe a moment of silence so that we honor the fallen heroes and heroines who started this journey with us. Unfortunately, God had other ideas. They are not here for this proud moment. So can we do that, please? Thank you. All protocol observed. We welcome our visitors, our speakers from different departments. As hosts, FIPSA members, you are welcome as well. So we recognize. You will note that this is an Indaba. We are going to debate robustly, but we should not lose sight of the fact that there must be respect. If you don't agree with an idea or with a speaker, you must still keep the proper decorum in terms of how you address issues. That includes those that are joining online. What you post, you must post with respect. We are all adults here. I believe that we can keep a constructive meeting within those parameters of respect. Then, in simple terms, the word Indaba is derived from Zulu and Xhosa, meaning people meet and unpack issues. This is just to clarify why we're here. If you look at the program, it's designed with a make a puzzle approach. You will witness with the next item, which will set the tone. And as we go along, at the end, you'll see when the puzzle is complete. From here, whoever is attending should get information that is correct, not information that is peddled out there. The person should be educated, enlightened, and those that are attending on social media and social platforms must see the picture that the South African government is trying to paint out there leading up to the G20. With those short words, I formally, as chairperson, declare this Indaba 2025 open. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for those words. When we were in FIPSA, was preparing for the Indaba, they had envisaged that it was going to be gathered by thought leaders. It was going to be gathered by leaders that are going to be embarking on a robust engagement, as the chairperson had alluded to. And this is with the hope that as we proceed during the day, that ladies and gentlemen, let us engage, because this is the time where engagement matters when it comes to issues of immigration and reform. Our Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber, has sent a keynote address in his absence because he had other commitments. But in his keynote address, he has set the tone of our engagements that are coming forth. And without further ado, he has decided to actually take his time to articulate certain key fundamentals that will be able to unlock the future of this country when it comes to immigration issues. Can you give it, please? Thank you.
And I would like to welcome all of you to the 2025 FIPSA Indaba. Unfortunately, I am unable to join you in person, as I'm currently abroad to open new Home Affairs service centres that will dramatically cut turnaround times for South Africans abroad who need new passports and birth certificates. But I nonetheless wanted to take this opportunity to deliver a short message to you. Over the past 15 months, Home Affairs has come a long way. We have embarked on the most ambitious reform agenda any government department has seen since 1994, guided by our vision to deliver Home Affairs at home. We are working towards this goal by embracing digital transformation to digitalize and automate all of our processes, including the immigration sector where most of you work. We have already proven this concept through our trusted tour operator scheme, which has digitalized tourist visas for registered group tour operators from China and India, issuing over 40,000 visas securely and on average within just a few days to tourists who would otherwise have struggled to visit South Africa. Now, we are taking the next step through the rollout of our world-class new electronic travel authorization, or ETA. As we speak, the system is going live for G20 delegates from the 4 G20 member states that require visas for short-stay visits to South Africa, namely China, India, Indonesia, and Mexico. You may also have already seen the ETA signage, cameras, and terminals going up at OR Tambo and Cape Town international airports. Through the ETA, these first users have been able to obtain their visas through a fully digitalized, automated, and secure system. Instead of traveling long distances to stand in queues, fill in paperwork, and wait weeks for a tourist visa, they were able to apply on their smart device, scan their passport, and take a selfie using their smartphone, whereafter the machine learning-based risk engine checked their application and issued an outcome within minutes. When they arrive in South Africa, they will look into a camera at the immigration desk to instantly verify their biometrics. Following the G20 summit, our intention is to open up this ETA system for all tourists from these 4 countries, followed by its rollout to tourists from all around the world. In the following phases, we will expand the ETA to cover more visa categories, eliminating the human discretion and bias that causes visa delays and corruption. Over time, we will also roll it out at all ports of entry, including our land borders, to ensure that no one is able to enter South Africa without this user-friendly, yet digitally secured visa authorization. Once this rollout process is complete, any prospective traveller will be able to use the ETA to apply for a visa from the comfort of their own home, Home Affairs at home. The rollout of the ETA this week is the beginning of a revolutionary step forward for South Africa. It is also being rolled out in parallel to our civics reforms that will expand access and inclusion on a scale never seen before at Home Affairs by enabling South Africans to obtain smart IDs and passports at hundreds of bank branches around the country and from their digital banking applications. In one fell swoop, our digital partnership model with the banking industry will enhance access to our services across rural and urban areas, cutting queues at Home Affairs offices and delivering the most pro-poor and pro-inclusion reform in a generation. This will be followed by the introduction of home deliveries of enabling documents, marking yet another step towards Home Affairs at home. Together, the introduction of the ETA and the digitalization of civics processes will culminate in the creation of a fully fledged digital ID system, where all immigration and civic processes will be accessible through a smartphone app, enabling remote authentication and combating identity fraud and theft, as well as illegal immigration. Over the past financial year, Home Affairs has tackled a visa backlog that started out at over 306,000 unprocessed applications dating back more than a decade, while also dramatically improving turnaround times for new visa applications. Compared to the previous year, during the 2024-25 financial year, the share of critical skills visas adjudicated on time improved from 52% to 89%, business visas from 61% to 97%, and general work visas from just 10% to 98%. Taken together, these are remarkable achievements for a department that has been much maligned over the years, and this should serve as a source of hope that with the right leadership, vision, and a relentless focus on delivery, things can get better in South Africa. Of course, there is much work that is still to be done. From day one, I have made it clear that there is no magic wand that one can wave to just solve all our problems overnight. But there is now no doubt that Home Affairs is on course to turn Home Affairs at home into a reality, thereby eliminating problems that have festered for decades within just a single government term. Our motivation is to restore hope. If we can prove that Home Affairs can be made to work, then we will restore the hope that South Africa can work. I invite all of you to be part of this journey and to work constructively with a department that is shamelessly ambitious about going from a laggard to a world leader through digital transformation. At the end of the day, we are all South Africans who love our country and who want it to work. Home Affairs is the seedbed where we are building a new model for urgent and fundamental reform in partnership and collaboration with the private sector. I wish you well for this important event, and I look forward to working together to accelerate our reforms even more to ensure that by the end of this administration, Home Affairs stands as a true beacon of hope for every South African. Thank you.
The spirit and the message that has been put across by our Honorable Minister of Home Affairs will set the path for a new path that needs to be followed with regards to immigration reform. And it is in this regard that we would like to also convey our apology from the Honorable Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Njabula Beganzuza. He was supposed to be gracing us with his presence, but had to unfortunately attend to other urgent matters. But that also include the Commissioner of the Border for Management Authority, Dr. Michael Masiapato, who was supposed to also to be with us, but could not make it due to unforeseen circumstances. But the Minister has set the position of the department and its position for immigration policy reform. Now, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, the DTIC, plays a vital role in supporting business immigration, particularly throughout issuing recommendation on business visas. Mr. Fick is here with us today, and he will shed light on how the Invest SA one-stop shop is simplifying processes for foreign investors and improving the ease of doing business. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please give him a warm hands?
As practitioners, you may not have known that, but you're critical to the investment facilitation agenda of the South African government. Today, I'll share with you information on the purpose of the Invest SA one-stop shops, where we are located, and hoping that towards the end of my presentation, we would have understood where yourselves and the DTIC start a new journey in respect of ensuring that the investors that you are assisting are also aware of the other services provided by the South African government. And I think you are in the best position to do that for us. The presentation, probably, if it can be reflected. Okay. As the DTIC, we are on behalf of the South African government taking leadership in investing the Republic as an investment destination. We also ensure that we facilitate with all of the partners across government and in the private sector, so that investors can speedily not only take those decisions critical for relocation of the investment, but to, in actual fact, start implementing investment projects in the country. So this slide depicts the government entities responsible for investment promotion and facilitation, and we call that the investment ecosystem, primarily government partners. But as I've said earlier on, you play a critical role, not only on the immigration side, but also potentially assisting or advising the investors how they can access the services of government in respect of the one-stop shops. Just very briefly, it's an initiative that was announced in the State of the Nation address in 2016. Cabinet took a decision in 2015 that in order for South Africa to mobilize our resources effectively across government and the private sector, we should get a lead department to champion the promotion of the Republic as an investment destination. Furthermore, we then had the establishment of the first one-stop shop at the DTIC in 2017. We have since established a one-stop shop in the Western Cape Province, Gauteng Province, as well as in KwaZulu-Natal. And then post the establishment of the Invest SA one-stop shops, government has also endorsed the country investment strategy, which seeks to really embed the partnership in respect of investment promotion, facilitation, aftercare and retention. Let us look at basically what the one-stop shops entail, if we can get the video played. Thank you.
Today. Thriving commercial and administrative hubs have grown around our established industries and are investing heavily in the region's diverse new economy. Schools around the province are focusing on a curriculum that will create a generation of young scientists, engineers, mathematicians, and physicists. Universities like the new Sol Plaatje University in Kimberley are producing graduates with more practical experience. Top medical facilities are adding to the draw of these cities, making them more attractive to young professional families. This expanding skills base has access to a well-established engineering capacity, which services mining, agriculture, and heavy-duty road transport. The Northern Cape has been granted 14 licenses from government for oil and gas exploration, which will boost marine engineering demand and capacity. To further develop the skills of the people of our province, government has invested in the building of the Kimberley Diamond and Jewelry Center. Here, young artisans are given the opportunity to grow their skills and to get hands-on experience in the art of creating authentic and original jewelry. Students are taught how to cut and grind diamonds, harvested from the region, and to prepare them for the growing demand for this much-loved gem. The training is ongoing and extensive and is fast making our province a diverse and skill-filled hub. Among the biggest market forces driving growth is mining, with iron and manganese exports as strong as ever. The export of steel to Europe and America has seen the development in additional support infrastructure.
The Northern Cape prides itself with one of the best infrastructure in terms of road, buildings to support the potential investor.
Adding to the existing road and rail network is a new line to the west coast, where a deep water port is part of local government's $500 million investment in export facilities. The other vital resource and development driver is water, which flows abundantly through the province from South Africa's two major rivers. Together with the country's two largest dams, this water distribution has strong new management from both national and regional government, able to sustain commercial activity in a province of 360,000 square kilometers. The maintenance and expansion of water security allows for a formidable export agricultural industry. Our province is home to the largest wine-producing co-op in the Southern Hemisphere. The highly respected and multiple award-winning reputation of South African wine has translated in increased exports to the emerging markets like China and the East. Our region is also world-renowned for table grapes, raisins, and brandy. Amongst the world's largest producer of pecan nuts, this agriculturally diverse region also supports a thriving date industry, with maize farming long being a foundation of local food production. A well-developed feed industry and water security drive extensive sheep farming in the southern Karoo. Supported by the Industrial Development Corporation of South Africa, the beef industry offers another healthy, expanding example of agricultural opportunity in the Northern Cape.
There are various incentives that can be specially crafted for a potential investor. There's instances whereby some municipality will then offer a tax and rates break for probably maybe 15 years. There's also other incentives if you have to then locate in a special economic zone, like you get your 15% corporate tax reduction, building tax allowance, employment tax incentives. There's also then your custom controls area, which is VAT exempt and duty free, and your 1-2 tax allowance designed to support greenfield investments.
Driving business growth is the largest solar platform in sub-Saharan Africa, harvesting and producing industrial energy by day and storing for domestic consumption by night. This solar energy platform is part of our commitment to the Paris Climate Agreement and allows solar innovation to be developed and expanded as far as the Sahara. South Africa is the largest producer of solar energy in Africa, with the Northern Cape leading the way. The development of the Square Kilometre Array, or SKA, the world's largest radio telescope, resulted in collaboration between world-leading scientists and engineers from 100 international organizations. Once functioning at optimum, it will require supercomputers faster than any in existence, as well as network technology that will generate more data traffic than the entire internet. Our growing tourism industry caters to the luxury traveler, those in search of adventure, to those who seek silence and space, underpinned by the will to preserve the ancestral sites of ancient cultures who navigated by the stars and lived in harmony with nature. Opportunities in hospitality and adventure tourism are limited only by your imagination. The mineral and marine-rich west coast between Cape Town and Namibia has become a much sought-after destination for photographic safaris. The Northern Cape also has very favorable incentives for any business or group who wish to make their next conference or gathering that much more memorable. With world-class facilities scattered across the province, we invite you to experience something truly unique. The semi-desert of the Tankwa Karoo hosts the annual Africa Burn, where people flock to from all around the world to build a temporary city of art, costume, and music. Adventures down the Orange River are a centerpiece of overland tours through southern Africa. These tourism opportunities are supported by strong infrastructure and tax incentives. Taking advantage of both is a thriving film industry. The local currency makes our country a highly competitive place to film in, supported by a strong and highly professional industry. Conveniently situated between prominent film destinations, Namibia and the Western Cape, the Northern Cape has hosted movies from Lords of War, Funny Enough, Slagveld, and Once Upon a Road Trip. All of this diverse and economically driven interest and investment flows through Kimberley and Uppington International Airport, with daily flights to and from major centers around South Africa. Established infrastructure and logistics allow new ventures to utilize reliable supply routes to get product moving where needed to other markets. As it is across South Africa, the hospitality industry is professional and well established, without ever losing the unique charm of our province that attracts people here over other destinations. It is a broad, rich, generous, and welcoming land. A canvas for you to paint your future today. With strong incentives and support from local government, this economy is looking forward, thriving, and finding partners across the globe. This is your invitation to join us and write your future.
Konja, Telkoje, Sia, Nia, Konja.
Thank you very much. Can we get back to the PowerPoint? So ladies and gentlemen, what we are doing as a DTIC, we're working across government. We're working only not with government departments, but in the provinces we have what we call investment promotion agencies. So that's the list of government departments that we are working with, including the Department of Home Affairs, and I think over the past 2 decades, we have seen significant reforms in immigration taking place. I think we are thankful for the current leadership, for the automation that they are introducing, for ensuring that South Africa's passport and immigration processes does become dignified, and that will improve our image with investors globally as well. So in respect of the value proposition of the one-stop shops, it is a physical location where investors can converge, they make an appointment with government, they want to have access to land, they want to have information of how to invest in special economic zones, they want a municipality to consider certain incentives, they want to have access to government incentives, so we provide all of those services under one roof. So we have currently MOUs, Memoranda of Understanding, with our national partners, and I must state this morning that the level of cooperation has been significant over the past few years. In fact, government then agreed that we have the first South Africa Investment Conference, and so the presidency gave us a target of 1.2 trillion rand. We have exceeded the 1.2 trillion rand from 2018 until the last investment conference by reaching approximately 1.5 trillion rand. that would not have been possible if it was not for all partners in government, in the private sector, both domestically as well as internationally, for working together. We would not have been that would not have been possible. We have a new target of 2 trillion rand for the next 5 years, and so that's the significance of your contribution over the next 5 years. You are a trusted partner, and certainly we're looking forward to collaborate with you so that we can attain the 2 trillion rand of new investment into the country. Mr. Chairperson, I certainly hope that we would engage from now on forward to ensure that where there be blockages in government, that we can collaborate effectively to unblock impediments and make it easier for yourselves to engage with investors and to ensure that we garner the investment over the next 5 years. The strategic role of the Invest SA one-stop shops: number one, we make a contribution in respect of investment facilitation. That's from getting the inquiry from our foreign mission abroad, getting an inquiry from investors that have already implemented projects in the country, and then we provide the services that they require. The second key role of the one-stop shops is to support red tape reduction. You will understand it cannot be that the investor goes from one national government department to another government department, running for an environmental impact assessment, then having to travel to the Northern Cape to start engaging with the local municipality for services that they are going to require when they open up their factory or their plant. For example, we have a relationship with Eskom, where there's going to be a mining investment project. You're going to need access to energy, and secondly, you are going to require sign-off on environmental impact assessments, and then also you're going to need access to water, etc. So we then mobilize those departments to expedite the applications. We guide the investor. These are the requirements. Please submit your application, and we will keep in touch with the department that needs to approve your application. If everything is in order, we can assure you that the application will be approved within the specified timeline, if not before the specified timeline. We have agreements with some agencies reporting into the DTIC, for example, where the legislative turnaround time is 180 days, provided that the investor has fully complied. They are now reducing that to 30 days if those investors comes via the Invest SA one-stop shop. So there's a tangible benefit for investors. In summary, the services that we are providing, it's about the provision of information. We provide specialist advisory services. Because of our relationship with all of our partners to the local government, for example, if an investor is interested in the green economy, we have that relationship with Westgrow, and they have their functional experts that can provide the services and information required. Just very briefly, in respect of the service touch points, investors will approach the South African missions, probably also now they will approach yourself. Can you kindly assist us, practitioner, with other services other than the immigration, the permits and the visas that we require, because we know that you now have contact with the DTIC in respect of the Invest SA one-stop shop services. So we have a number of touch points, the websites. The DTIC makes a contribution to the physical infrastructure at the one-stop shops. We are now also introducing a customer relations management system. And what our colleagues at the DTIC is currently doing will hopefully be integrated with our customer relations management system. In respect of the types of investor inquiries, from immigration to broad-based black economic empowerment, export opportunities, licenses of all sorts, energy for the establishment of data centers, tax information incentives, and environmental impact assessment. So that's the limited basket of investor inquiries that we are receiving on a daily basis. In respect of where we have established already, we are based at the DTIC head office. Then we also have an office in Sandton. We have an office here in eThekwini. And we also have the office in the city of Cape Town. We're currently working with the provincial government in the Northern Cape to launch the one-stop shop facility in the coming financial year. We also have established quite a number of satellite offices in districts, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal. There's 5 facilities operating already. And then at the Kucha SEZ, we have a fully functional office, and we are about to open one at the East London IDZ as well. In respect of the future expansion, we currently working towards the launch of a facility in Limpopo province, as well as the Eastern Cape province. And we just about started with the renovations for the one-stop shop site in the province of Mpumalanga. In September, we have launched a satellite office in Centurion in collaboration with the GDDA and the city of Tshwane. So we're now really going down to municipal level to ensure, because that's where the investment projects are in actual fact located. They're not coming to the CBD only, they're taking their projects to the municipalities. And we provide the services in an integrated manner. I think when we listened to Dr. Schreiber, he suggested the continued partnership across government to ensure that we really make the country benefit from the investment opportunities globally as well as domestically. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude with that. I have given the presentation. There's a copy of there's 2 videos there. Please let us stay in touch. I know you have a very good relationship with Volna Barnard and the team, but I'm encouraging you, please, when you have your consultations with investors, just ask them, Mr. Investor, do you have any other needs that I can probably link you up with the DTIC Invest SA one-stop shops? In that way, your services does become a lot more broader, but in the end, the country will benefit exponentially from your intervention as well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Fick, for that insightful presentation. I am going to allow for questions on the floor. I'm also going to allow for questions virtually. And as we had indicated, ladies and gentlemen, this is a platform for engagement. This is a platform where you can be able to ask questions of clarity. This is a platform for you to be able to get enough information. This is a platform for creating awareness. This is a platform for education. And we will open the floor for any questions. There's a gentleman there that is going to be able to assist with the revolving mic. So I'm going to start with the floor, and the technical team will assist me with regards to filtering questions from online.
Solutions. I'd just like to say thank you to the DTIC for the presentation. Mine is a question comment. My first question is, if immigration intermediaries or service providers are seen as an integral part of the value chain of the DTIC from facilitating investments into South Africa, what is the quid pro quo? In the sense that the DTIC is saying that we're valuable, but the Department of Home Affairs has an ambivalent currently relationship with immigration intermediaries. So where does the left hand and the right hand work together? And indeed, I agree that we're an integral part of that investment value chain. I mean, we process a lot of investment visas, business visas regularly, and of course the clients always say, okay, I have this money I want to bring into South Africa, but I actually don't know where to deploy it. So yeah, so we then provide the service to the DTIC or collaborative relationship, but on the other hand, when we are then processing other types of visas with the Department of Home Affairs, then the relationship is an ambivalent one. So where do we help one another in that sense? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take another set of questions. I'm hoping, Mr. Fick, that you've written down. Thank you.
I thank you for the presentation from DTIC Invest SA. From my perspective as a diplomatic officer of the Indonesian Embassy, I will need Invest SA, in particular DTIC, to explain more as of our interest in Indonesia. First of all, how much can we do to empower South African diplomatic officers overseas to promote your Invest SA? I hardly see anything, at least in our case in Jakarta, through your representation as a government, the intergovernmental body, to actually promote the Invest SA and to make our commercial chambers of commerce or the likes to get particularly interested or provoked with whatever have you in your offer to the Indonesian potential business persons. And the second thing, how much can we make it even easier than the easiness that you offer now for the foreign potential investors to actually tap into the website and do the inquiries, or let's say the step-by-step process of online inquiries before their further steps in making themselves very clear in the investment? Is it provided by the website for the online process or whatever have they on their mind for investment in South Africa? The two I would like to know in particular, because Indonesian Embassy is now working for the two countries, mobilizing investment from South Africa to Indonesia, which is naturally our kind of thing, and the Indonesian potential business players who is inquiring to our embassy here in Pretoria based with regard to the ease of doing business in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I am going to take another round of a question from the gentleman.
Good morning, I'm Clark Brandon. Thanks, Mr. FIPSA, information that you've given us on One Stop. I must say I've been in the business for many years. Most of the people know that. And I've only used One Stop. I've never used One Stop. I've used, other than to get a recommendation, and I've done many business. I would like to have a closer relationship with One Stop, with the people at One Stop, to find out more what we can collaborate with, because I do feel that it is something that we must really become involved with. It's for the benefit of South Africa. So I would like to have telephone numbers or email addresses or some sort of contact person that I can speak to with regard to that. Thanks, Mr. Fick, for the presentation. It was very informative.
Thank you. I'm just going to take one last question before we actually go online.
Mr. Fick, my name is Rod Maxwell. I'm Chapter Chair of FIPSA Western Cape. Thank you for your address, and I just want to add to the comment that the lady over there about the bureaucratic link. So, for example, FIPSA has been involved with Operation Vulindela and cutting out the red tape and all of those things. The problem that we find is the government departments tend to resist any initiatives. You know, we talk about the public-private partnership, but in reality, it doesn't happen because there's an inherent distrust or mistrust, where the government department will say, for example, Home Affairs, don't talk to those guys, talk to us directly. So what happens is, it's an own goal. So what will happen is, that I'm not going to bring anybody because they're going to take essentially my client away from me, and we find other ways. So the question then is, in terms of your relationship with Home Affairs, and as you engage with a stakeholder, how does one bridge that mindset within Home Affairs and get them to understand that we a public-private partnership, and as the Minister said right in the beginning, that's the future, that we have to talk to one another. Thank you very much.
I'm going to answer randomly, so in no particular order. We want to start a very good relationship. My contact details are there, and I think Nadia has all the other details. I'm also willing to submit my mobile number should there be any queries directly. Then the other issue of ensuring that the South African missions abroad are having the information and are able to channel constructively inquiries for investment to the country. I think that's a gap that we understandably have recognized. We have had discussions with our DTIC, and we will ensure that going forward, that information filters down to all of the South African missions abroad. The issue of the current perception that is existing at the Department of Home Affairs, and probably let me put a disclaimer, it's not necessarily within my pay grade to comment on that. What I can suggest, and I don't know the extent of the issues and where the perceptions are emanating from, but I mean that could potentially be a matter for discussion with the other partners, so that Home Affairs potentially could be swayed to understand the important and critical role that the practitioners are playing. I'm not making any commitments today, but that could potentially be a matter for myself to gain more understanding, but to then also with the champions within our brands, Volna and the team, to see if there's any room to motivate for a change in that perception. Then the issue of the private-public partnerships, I think that's the same issue, that there needs to be dialogue so that we can really come together. I don't think that government has attempted to breach that bureaucratic divide adequately to ensure that particularly partners in the private sector, civil society are brought on board in respect of its investment program. And I do think while there's discussions with partners at the NETLEC level, we need to potentially see where we can get yourselves closer. We have an agreement with the International Labour Organization to provide capacity building to Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, and Lesotho. In Q4, it's an online training course that we could potentially also motivate for the ILO to consider extending an invitation to your members, so that you can better understand, what is the sustainable investment all about, if indeed you want to start a closer relationship with the DTIC, so that you are even more equipped, better equipped to advise your investors. Yeah? I'm not too sure if there's any other questions, but
yes, there is another set of, I will take another 2-3 set of questions, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Fick. for the team. There's one takeaway from me as the chairperson of FIPSA. One is you mentioned that FIPSA is a trusted partner of your department. That's the starting point. And that is the reason why we are having this Indaba. As I mentioned, the whole program is structured in a manner that the puzzle will be clear when we end, after all the other departments have spoken. The outcome statement would be FIPSA will have formal partnerships with all these departments. So what you mentioned, it's the second leg of the puzzle. If people can recall the speech of the minister, he mentioned that they are prepared, Home Affairs, that's the start. So as we go along, even after Mr. Fick has finished, when Floyd and Mr. Griffiths speak, it will add and add. Ultimately, it will be clear. Thank you.
Thank you. There's another hand over there.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Fick. I heard everything you said. But this is admission by you that you are organizing FIPSA members. Because if I take my client's documentation, he transfer the money, or he have the money available, he have the business plan, he have long and short-term plans for his business, it's in the category of what is desirable, and according to the DTI requirement, and I take my power of attorney as an immigration practitioner to your office in Cape Town, are they recognizing me? Are they going to help me? Are they going to say, yes, you are FIPSA member, allowed to act in behalf of your client? Because you as a director, yes, you understand, you're addressing us, and we understand what you're saying, and you understand, but I'm not going to deal with you directly. I'm going to deal with your staff. It took from us long time. I think Mr. Floyd and the DTI aware of that. It took long time by us for them to organize us, because they understood that we are acting in behalf of the client in the right manner and right way, and we know how to set documentation. Can you please admit online now in record that you're organizing FIPSA member? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another set of hands before we respond to both? I think it was a comment from the chairperson, if he needs to respond to that, but I think it was straightforward. Mr. Fick, there's a question for you.
When implementing the Invest SA one-stop shops, we have a very strong emphasis on stakeholder engagement, inclusive, consistent stakeholder engagement. Now, understandably, the one-stop shops are implemented at the provincial level, and in terms of the current constitution, the provinces, even local government, they have concurrent responsibility for economic growth and development. So our partnership with the provinces are within the context of the provisions of the Constitution, but also the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act. So the provinces have significant autonomy around implementing investment and export promotion. But this initiative that government has been implementing, the provinces and local government have come on board. For example, we have had engagements last week with 2 districts in the Northern Cape province to ensure that all parties are really speaking from the same hymn sheet. And likewise, we will be going to the Western Cape province. And what we are doing is to get partners that are government and those that are outside of government to come into a room and to discuss the issues of relevance, including, breaking down perceptions, breaking down barriers, and understanding that we need to work together. So in our communication, we will certainly make sure that an invitation is extended to your organization, the provincial chapter, so that we can look at, where there are contentious issues that we as government need to start debating and recognizing that we need to work together. That understandably within the context of me also gaining more information of what exactly the challenges are that are being experienced both nationally as well as at the provincial level. So from a stakeholder point of view, that's the commitment that we are making. We'll make sure that all stakeholders are invited provincially so that we can all talk about how we start working together. And I think that will be the starting point for a much more productive relationship going forward. We place very strong emphasis on stakeholder engagement, and I think our provinces can attest to that. We always ask them, let us have a report on your engagements at a quarterly level. We advise them, you need to service your investors, you need to service the diplomatic community, and you need to service those other interested parties that contributes to effective and sustainable investment facilitation. So, sir, in answering your question, that is the approach that we will follow to get you on board, make sure that there's exchange, there's dialogue, and see if the relationship can improve. I do not know, for the record, what the complexities are in terms of recognition, home affairs, and all of that. But I'm saying from the Invest SA point of view, it could very well be to our advantage to start listening and to see where there are areas of collaboration. Okay. Then also to the chairperson of FIPSA, let's do that. Let's start working together. Let's cooperate, at least from the Invest SA one-stop shop point of view. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to allow, I saw a set of hands, I think a set of hand. I'll allow the gentleman to actually ask the question.
Presentation. Good morning, everybody. What I'd like to ask is, with all of these different agencies, which we see, if I take a look at the Western Cape, you've got West Grove, the Jeddah, I'm familiar with. What I didn't understand from your presentation is, firstly, how do you work with these agents? If we bring clients through, who do we speak to? Do we speak to you, or do we speak to the agents? I didn't get from your presentation exactly how it all works on the ground. I understand the objectives, etc. So if we have clients, for instance, who wants to invest in South Africa in a particular space, where do we channel that type of inquiry, and how is it that we can assist? Obviously, we don't want to take our clients to a whole pile of different agencies, because that's really makes it quite complicated. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other set of questions before I allow Mr. Fick to respond? There's another gentleman there at the back. Thank you.
Good day. So I'm just a practical person. When you say we should talk, when is the talk?
Thank you. Short and sweet.
Okay. I'm in the province also to attend the Provincial Investment Conference. I have alerted them that I will come there after this engagement. I will send them a text message again so that I be around during the tea break, so that at least we can have, more talking. I have given my contact details, please send us an email and I can at least commit to the talking. The other issue of who do we contact at the provincial level, there's also a second DVD that I've given the organizers a copy of that will expand on, you know, how do you enter, how do you make contact with the provincial one-stop shop. Chairperson, we will also provide those contact details, including in the Eastern Cape and Limpopo province, to Nadia, hopefully when I get back to the office on Monday, so that you can then, you know, circulate that to your members. We are committed to ensure that we at least share information and find areas where we can do the talking and can ensure that there's action emanating from the talking in respect of servicing potential investors. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to close the question now for Mr. Fick. This is with the amenability from his department in terms of providing the necessary information that is required, and also being able to also perhaps maybe invite and have an open door policy with regards to all the respective role players that would find amenable solution with regards to their requirements, and I'm hoping all the delegates that have asked questions here. We now are continuing with DTIC, and will be addressed by Ms. Velna Barnard, who will be speaking on the power of collaboration by highlighting partnerships with government, the private sector, and stakeholders to improve transparency and efficiency in immigration services. And she will also touch on practical challenges faced by the DTIC, particularly around the need for better alignment between immigration and industrial policy. Without this, it becomes harder to attract the right foreign talent and investment. She is joining us on the line. Ms. Velna, welcome. Good morning, Mrs. Barnett. Can you hear us? You may proceed with your presentation, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Good morning, Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's Velna Barnard here, talking to you from Pretoria. I hope the sound quality is well and that you can hear me very well. Well, I overheard this morning that some of the FIPSA Indaba attendees and the DTIC officials were in the same hotel last night. And when they were walking to the bar, the immigration practitioner was ordering a drink, and the DTI official immediately said, before you sip, please make sure you attach your supporting documents. So that's a true story, everybody. So I hope that you are ready to attach your supporting documents, and let's get to the presentation. Can we go to the next slide, please? We can go to the next slide. Thank you. What we are going to do is just to very quickly take you through our presentation. We want to introduce you to the facilitation team. We want to talk about the regulation of the immigration advisory industry. I think that is a question that was came up during Mr. Fick's presentation. Our key processes, the sectors, the common mistakes and how to fix them, that supporting documents that I was talking about. Then we're going to have Floyd assisting us in terms of what the numbers tells us, how many applications we receive, what's happening to those applications when we process them, looking at our new visa recommendation system. Then Siphephetho is going to talk to us about the surveys that you have kindly assisted us to complete and the takeaways from there in terms of the recommendations and the site visit, and then looking at 2026 and beyond. The next slide, please. No, just go back. And another one, there we go. And there we are. And there is some nice pictures on the The right-hand side, just depicting what we do in terms of site visits, here we go. And for those that has not dealt with us before, that maybe concentrate on other types of visas and not the business and corporate visa. I see there's messages on the chat that says people can't see the slides, just for the technical team.
Yes.
Oh, must I share this?
There's a number of people that are indicating that they are unable to see the slides.
Okay, it says how to host disabled participant of screen sharing. Should I continue talking?
Can you just hold on a bit, Mrs. Barnett, until we can be able to sort out the problem?
I'll do.
Thank you.
I'll do.
Is it sorted? Okay, it is sorted. You may now proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. I was telling you to attach those supporting documents, which is the slides now. So our team members, we are a very small team and we are centrally based at Pretoria. We're cross-functional, which is very important to us, so that we can fit in wherever the need is. We work very closely with our sector specialists because a lot of people always ask us how you juggle these applications, because you will in the morning deal with somebody that are in agro processing, this afternoon somebody wants to manufacture drones, tomorrow morning you're busy with mining. So that's how we are able to do that. We have experience to engage effectively across the full spectrum of the business activities. So we can go to the next slide. So this was a question that was now raised during and after Mr. Fick's presentation. And this is the viewpoint of the DTIC. I've talked about our intern. Oh, I see the slides have disappeared again. I don't know what is happening. But I'm going to keep talking in terms of time-wise, if you guys can just see what needs to be done on that side. So I've talked about the DTIC team in Pretoria, but we also work with another team, and that is your guys in the audience, the attorneys, the advocates, that all are forming part of the immigration ecosystem. And we very much, as the DTIC, wish to see that there's regulation in this immigration advisory industry, that it becomes a protected industry. So we know now that FIPSA is SAQA registered, but we want to see that it goes further than just being SAQA registered, that it becomes a compulsory registration. So without regulations, on the left-hand side, you will see that there's a lot of risks involved for yourselves, your clients, and the government departments dealing with immigration if the immigration practitioners are not regulated. We see a lot of, sometimes when we pick up these complaints, and especially it also came out on the survey, which Siphephetho will elaborate later on, that unqualified or unethical advisors exploit clients. We've also seen that there's a lot of chartered accountants that are entering the space of giving advice to applicants. And from the DTIC side, we have discussed this matter with the industry, the relevant industry bodies, because there could be a potential conflict of interest. So we would really like to promote the protected industry. Then my last point on this slide is unprotected industry without any regulation. We can't go to anybody and say this practitioner is submitting fraudulent documents or not completed documents, etc. It creates a lot of administrative strain on the DTIC, and all of you are wanting us to process applications quicker. But we can't do that. If an application is submitted with all these risks that I'm highlighting, then it takes us longer. From our point of view, from the DTIC point of view, we would like to see formalization and oversight. It gives us professional, accountable practitioners that uphold ethical standards. Leslie was talking about support, investment, attraction, and skills development. It protects the clients through a recognized professional structure. There's somewhere that you can go to and you can say, my client has not, practitioner has not presented myself optimally. We want to see as the strengthening of collaboration between the DTIC, FIPSA, the legal representatives, and government in general. So we want to see that if this is a protected industry, then we will see a credible, transparent and trusted immigration system. And I'm sure that all of you are in support of this, and we would like to ask our sister departments also to consider this very strongly. I just want to stop here. Is the slide issue sorted? Because I see there's messages coming into the chat.
Are you able to actually see your slides on the screen, Mrs.
I see it myself. Okay. Yes, I'm seeing it myself, yes.
Okay, because we can be able to actually see the slides. And the ones online have also commented they can be able to see the slides. So I think everything is in order, yes.
Right, excellent. So then what we look at, and there's also a common question that we get asked, is in terms of the business visa assessment, what are we looking at? When we look at economic impact and feasibility. So if we are talking about economic impact, we are looking at our national development objectives, and that will say that that includes promoting economic growth and job creation. So that is one of the key things when we ask you in our application form as well. How do you contribute to national interest? That is what we are looking at. Sometimes why application takes a little bit longer, we do verify information. We do cross-checks, we do document validation, we go to our industry's bodies, we ask our sector specialists at the DTIC. Every sector does have, sorry, I just see all the chats coming up. All the, we've got sector specialists at the DTIC for all our sectors, which I'm going to talk to about now. We have professional engineers, pharmacists, etc., assisting us with looking at applications and assessing them. We do risk-based vetting. We do go to do deeper scrutiny triggered by financial inconsistencies, unrealistic business plan, and prior compliance issues. Unrealistic business plan, where the alarm bells or the red flags goes up for us, is when you want to put up a smelter, but your investment is 2 million rand, or you want to, open a widget manufacturing industry, but you're asking a waiver for us. So that becomes an unrealistic business plan. Then fraud, we've mitigated a lot against fraud since 2019 when we started issuing the certificates that is printed on a secure document that we procure from the government printer. But if we see that your applicant is still submitting a fraudulent DTIC recommendation, that may result in a rejection from our side and the potential reporting to relevant authorities. And this does not also relate to the DTIC documents. If there is any other document that we pick up that's fraudulent, we will alert the specific department or association that's involved. You can go to the next slide. Thank you very much. This is something that we see very often on our new VRS application system, that people struggle to get correct, and it is very important for us, and I know the slides will be shared, that you yourself as the immigration practitioners understand the DTI sectors, because our recommendations are very closely aligned to these sectors. And we see sometimes that people tick multiple sectors, and it's very it's not common that a company will operate in multiple sectors. So what you need to do to determine sector fit is identify the core business activity. What is the main revenue source? So for example, if your company is importing solar panels, you're not in the green industry, you're in the services industry because you're basically importing and selling. So look at how to determine sector fit. Then another big problem that we have is infrastructure development. Infrastructure development is a priority sector for us, and we're looking at public and private infrastructure development. Public infrastructure development would be something that everybody used, so it would be a government school, for example, and private would be, for example, a private clinic. Now, this excludes, and we've got this on our application form, and interesting enough, we haven't really still apply for this. This excludes activities related solely to construction, renovation, speculative property development. So that's when you want to flip houses. The development of private residential properties, such as houses, villas, or apartments intended for personal or passive income use. So what we sometimes do receive is people that have bought multiple apartments in South Africa. They are leasing or renting the apartments out, and they want a business visa because they need to attend corporate body meetings. So that is a passive income, and we might not necessarily approve such an application or recommend such an application. This is really important for us that the practitioner, as you were seeing in the previous slide, most of our applications are done by yourselves. And again, when I've reflected on the supporting documents, it's very important that those are attached correctly. And that is also ticking the correct sector where this application business activities falls in. So that matters to us for policy alignment and sector-specific support so that we can send you to our advanced manufacturing team, our green industries team, where your applicant might need support. Then people will ask us about the waivers. I know the Z37837 is very outdated. It's more than 10 years old, but it is not been repealed, so it still applies to waivers. And it does give us a little bit of challenges in terms of the startup visa that we will talk a little bit later about, but that it still applies in terms of waivers. You can go to the next slide. This is common mistakes and how to fix them. So this slide is it's going a little bit more to the granular level and maybe not so approved. And this common mistakes sometimes leads to applications not being recommended. First of all, these poor communications. That's also something that's been highlighted in the survey that Siphephetho will speak to. But we will see that a practitioner contacts the DTIC, they talk to us, but then that message doesn't always get across to the applicant themselves. Something that's really very important, and I would love everybody that's members of FIPSA to be very serious about number 2. Sometimes we engage with the practitioners, and what they will tell us is, this is the document I received from the applicant. So documents are just being submitted without really checking the information. You know, you will start reading the business plan in the first 2 pages. It is about a manufacturing concern. By page 7, or then it turns out that the person is going to, open bed and breakfast, for example. So please, the VRS system is making it very easy. You basically answer questions. Read through all the documents. If you can, go and visit your client or applicant at the premises before submitting, so that you can see for yourself what is happening. Then incomplete and poor quality applications, this is what's making us all before our time. Rushed and half-done applications. Please review thoroughly before you sending them to us. This is where delays creep in, and we see that we can't finalize applications quickly. What you need to do is complete it properly. If you do the executive summary and the business plan, at least one-liners and see attached, it's not flying with us anymore. Then incorrect investment certification, please make sure that your SIPA or SIBA member, they are registered, especially for SIBA, that they are allowed to issue the certificate. There is agreed to template that must be used. We are working with the industry bodies to simplify this format and see how we can standardize that and maybe not have this long format. I've talked about the weak executive summary, the wrong documents in the incorrect lines. That's again going to the VRS system. That we want you we're looking for the CV, and then the CV is attached under the CIPC document, and it makes life difficult, and we struggle then to finalize applications. And then especially unnecessary documents, guys, please, if we are asking you to send us documents in terms of proof of FDI, see where they are. We don't need to see your applicants' SPAR and purchases. You can leave that out. So I'm going to the next slide, and I'm going to ask Floyd to take us through this slide.
I'm ready. I wasn't ready, but yeah.
Okay. So how is the sequence going to work? Are you going to present and Mrs. Barnard is going to present after you, or are you going to now take over from Mrs. Barnard?
As you know, we don't get a lot of invitations in such prestigious events. One personally think that this is such a great initiative. I think we need to have an annual one every year, Mr. Gershon. I will be speaking about I'm going to go through 3 slides. One being the applications that we've received from the first and second quarter of this year, and the stats around that. And also I'll be speaking about what we have finalized, looking again at quarter 1 and 2. The last slide that I'll be speaking about will be on our new VRS system that was launched this year, April. Okay, we can begin. So I'm going to actually talk about what the numbers tell us. I think context, rather numbers, not only give us context, but numbers also makes it easier for us to make decisions and plan better. So looking at quarter 1 and 2 of 2025-2026 financial year, we received a total number of 228 applications. These are ranked or within 4 or 3 categories. Business visa, which was the largest, we had 140 applications with an average of 23 a month. Business visa extensions, we had 39, which is our 3rd largest, receiving 7 per month on average. Permanent residency, which is the 2nd largest, we received 45%, 45, with an average of 8. Corporate visas, which we received 4, on average 1 a month. I think what the a couple of insights that we actually can look at is that the fact that we are receiving a lot of new business visas. This suggests that investments in South Africa are still growing, and investors still has appetite to invest in South Africa. If we group all these categories together, we average 38 applications per month. Like I said, new business visa average being the highest. The assumption is because we've moved from an emailed application system to a digitalized system, that is actually what's increasing the number of applications or the volumes of applications. As you all were aware, we recently launched the VRS system, and if we compared it to the stats of last financial year, looking at these two quarters, we had an 11% increase in applications that we've received. I guess the digitalization does what digitalization does, that is ease of accessibility, because our system is accessible anywhere and everywhere. And what was interesting with what we've received, as you may be aware, that there were directives that ZEP holders need to move to appropriate visas, but recently we've realized that the ZEP applications have since decreased. If we had to compare the last year's 2 months stats, or on average, or looking at Q1, Q2 of last financial year, we actually had 44 applications that were related to ZEPs, as compared to now, which is 27. I think that's what this suggests is, the transitional phase of, ZEP holders applying for business visas has since passed, and again, the ZEP holders have, been granted another extension as of recently. So I think the stats generally tell us there's a great appetite for investments in South Africa. Looking at the numbers of new business visas that we have received only this year. Next slide, please. Okay, I think I need to do this for myself. Yes, I think this is where everybody wants us to talk about the rate in which we, the rate in which we finalize applications, as well as the ratio in terms of recommended and not recommended applications. Overall, the unit has a 65% recommended rate. So we recommend applications more than we reject them. I think if you look at, I actually broke them down into categories. So for business visa, which I knew for Q1 and Q2 of this year, we've actually recommended 69 and not recommended 39 out of 108 that we have processed. That is 63.9% recommended and 36.1 not recommended. In terms of business visa extensions, we have actually recommended 34 and not recommended 8 from a total of 42, which is actually quite high, which is 81%. I think the reasons for that is that we've realized that maybe it's you guys, that the applications for extensions are more aligned and have a high compliance rate. Because as you understand, when you move from a business visa to a business visa extension, compliance is key. So I think we've seen that a lot of applications that are extension related have documents that are more accurate, and meaning that we are able to proceed with the application. And again, we realize that actually businesses are doing quite well, because when we consider extensions, we also look at how businesses are doing financially. So the 81% rate of positive recommendation actually sort of suggests that. In terms of permanent residency, again, it's the same experience. Out of 24 that we've received in quarter 1 and 2, we actually recommended 19 and didn't recommend 5. This also talks to compliance, high level of compliance, and actually profitability here, because the department literally looks at profitability when it comes to permanent resident applications, because we will be seeing for the last time. If the business is not feasible, we will still require the business to show some sort of sustainability or profitability. So in that case, we do not just recommend applications purely because they've been on the system. Because we are in the business of making sure that businesses survive, business have employment impact, and business grow. So when it comes to permanent residency, we are literally very strict that it needs to be at least profitable or sustainable. The turnaround time for this quarter, and I think a lot of people will fight me on this, it's 90 working days internally. But I do understand that, you guys might have a different experience, or clients might have a different experience, because within us finalizing applications, there's a lot of moving parts. One being that we need to refer the applicant or the applications to the specialist or other aspects of the department, even externally if we need to. And also there's a site visit element within the process, so that might delay, right? But another aspect that actually delays or might not look like 19 days is a true reflection is the fact that there's a lot of back and forth between us as the department and your clients or yourselves. So the applicant, by the time the application is finalized, there has been back and forth and back and forth. And what we did in the previous year, we will just not recommend applications. Say, we're not recommending, no, we're not evaluating, fix this and fix this and fix that. So with the system, there isn't that not evaluated aspect of the application. What we do is refer the application back. And when the practitioner or the applicant doesn't address the situation or addresses it after 2 weeks, from our end, the process starts all over again, because going through the application itself is work. So when we receive the application, we just don't finalize it on one day. It's a process of reading the business plan, understanding the financial planning and so forth. So by the time you see us referring it back, we have done some work to it. So I caution you to always go back to the system and look whether your application has been referred back, so that it reduces the turnaround time. If you have any other questions, like I said, we are always readily available. So from our observation, or rather, I can't see now. I don't know why I took off my glasses. Generally, we have a high rate of approvals, meaning that, or the data actually suggests that you are doing the work that needs to be done, meaning that you take the burden of us explaining to clients that these are the priority sectors, this is how you apply for a waiver. So by the time we get the application, it's sort of smooth and easy for us to finalize. I think you need to give your hands up for that, because you filter out a lot of applications that would not necessarily make it. And I think that's why the stats are as they are. Next slide, please. Okay, the last slide will be on the visa recommendation system. I think you guys have seen it, have experienced it. And generally, the feedback that we've received so far has been generally positive. Like I mentioned, 11% increase in terms of the receiving of applications. And I think Velna has actually mentioned that the majority of users are you guys, meaning a chunk of what we received is being done by yourselves. Cementing that you are our biggest stakeholders. Although we haven't had a lot of problems, we are a division that improves a lot or likes improving. User feedback is welcomed, and throughout the two webinars that we had this year and throughout the quarter 1 and 2, we have had engagements we have had some of you guys telling us something is wrong or there's a glitch and so forth. And also through our survey that we did this month, we have actually highlighted things that we're currently working on to actually enhance. One of them was that there's difficulty in uploading documents. We're still looking at that, and browser capabilities. Different states or countries use different browsers, and currently the system only allows, I think, 3 or 4 browsers. So we are actually trying to increase the browser options that you guys have. Another issue or unintended consequence, or what we didn't actually think about, is the duplication of information that's required when you do your extension and permanent residency versus your new business visa recommendation application. We are sorting that out. Guys, you need to bear in mind that this system was done internally. So we don't have an external person that's readily available to implement everything all at once. It was internally done by our IT team, and because of capacity, certain things are slower than we would like them to be. We also recognize that we need to have a frequently asked questions section, which we're currently working on. Also simplifying the executive summary and business plan requirements. Clearer guidelines on investing into an existing business. This aspect is quite tricky because people don't actually understand what it actually means. So when you are buying into a business that is already operational, the requirements are different. The compliance document should be there because you are investing in something that's running. The previous financial year or 2-year financial statement should be there because you are investing into an existing business. So we will try to clarify that on the system because it is embedded on the system, but practitioners and applicants are finding it very difficult to understand what we mean. We do consider, or the consideration of a startup visa focus on innovation. So when we get applications, we just don't take them on face value. We get applications that resemble or seem or are business visa startups, although we don't have a separate visa category for startup visas, but our department sort of looks at them as businesses that are on a startup phase. So if an application comes in and it's innovative, it has identified a new market within South Africa, it's innovative, it's technology driven, we do actually look at those and we tend to look at those in a very niche manner. Communication, again, is quite key, and we have had, or rather we have actually did a VRS inquiry email address to address system issues, and people haven't been using it. So we encourage you guys to actually use it because it's dedicated to anything that's related to the visa recommendation system. I will be emailing it back to the chair so that you guys have access to it. But this is a great platform if you have any systematic issues and so forth. The last aspect of the system, which I think would be exciting and would be very tricky, would be the next phase of the system. So we are talking to Home Affairs to actually integrate the system with other systems that they have, so that we streamline processes and also have enhanced data security and data accuracy. So this phase is ongoing. We still have to, iron out, things with our IT department and the Department of Home Affairs IT department. In conclusion, before my line manager comes in again, one of my colleague Marianne usually says, within investment facilitation, we wear two hats. One being that we promote investments within South Africa, and also the other head is getting your application with Home Affairs to be successful, looking at compliance. I think if you look at that analogy, you guys also wear the same head, where you prepare the application for Home Affairs through us, and also promote investment in that you source and secure and ensure that people who run businesses in South Africa are provided with the correct permits. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Floyd. I hope everybody's giving you a good clap that side.
Thank you. In fact, it is befitting to say thank you to Ms. Bernard, because I think before anything else, when you presented, after your presentation, we did not extend our gratitude, so thank you very much. And thank you for staying.
No, that's fine. I'm still with you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And thank you once again to Mr. Maleka for your insightful presentation. I think what can be able to draw from the stats and the trends presented. One is that for investors, you correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's not just about a visa, it's about business viability. I think the second part as well for government, it's about linking immigration with economic development. And the third part as well is for applicants. It's about navigating both the Department of Home Affairs and the DTIC systems effectively. So thank you for sharing that. In proceeding, ladies and gentlemen, can we request Mr. Siphephetho Griffiths, one of the DTIC's guest speakers as well, to take us through the recent surveys results for business visas and site visits and site surveys for all experiences that have been undertaken. And after that, for the interest of time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll open the floor and we'll also allow questions online so that we can be able to ask questions to the three speakers that have presented their presentations today. Thank you.
The name, it's Siphephetho Griffiths. My responsibility for today is highlighting the key takeaways from the survey that were conducted by the DTI, specifically investment facilitation. Just before I get into the takeaways of the two surveys, let me start by providing the purpose of the surveys. The purpose of the surveys, one, was to understand investor confidence. I think my colleague Volna and my colleague Floyd have touched on that. There's been an appetite for investment, hence there has been a number of increase in applications received by the department. Secondly, it's also to understand and facilitate the support and services offered by the investment facilitation unit. And lastly, evaluate the different communication channels that is communicated from the department to stakeholders, applicants, etc. Okay, so our findings for the first survey is, just before I get into that as well, let me also highlight that the findings or the takeaways were based on work relating to Q1, Q2. It is also a survey that was sent out over a period of 7 working days. The survey recommendation, we sent out approximately 240 participants, and we got a response, I think, for the recommendation was 33%. For the site visit, we sent out the survey to 49 participants, and we got a response rate of about 13%. Okay, so let's dive into the key takeaways of the recommendation. Okay, so the overall thread when it comes to key takeaways from the recommendation process is as follows. Quite surprisingly, most of the participants, 65% to be precise, were business owners and managers, which is good. And the reason I say this is good is because it gives us, as a department, the necessary feedback that comes directly from a personal operation experience. Secondly, also the overall threads picked up as well is that clients are very satisfied with the guidance that is provided by the department in terms of requirements and so forth, and the percentage there was 84%. That's quite a high number. So again, that's us doing what we do best. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. And in terms of the areas of improvement, as much as we have a high percentage of positives, feedback, there's always areas of improvement. And the areas of improvement is going to be communication and feedback. One mostly being high is that applications that are not recommended, we as a department needs to be clear about the reason for the application not being recommended, as well as I think my colleague has also touched on the communication part of it, where I am in contact with the practitioner, and the practitioner does not always keep the applicants up to date. Turnaround times, it's either taking too long or the application is too quick. Look, I think my colleague also touched on that, is that as much as we may say that the application is taking long, we've seen with the online system, we've noticed that we are now averaging 19 working days as to previously 45 working days. And lastly, clarity on requirements. And this is where the intermediaries come in terms of your practitioners, your accountants, because your role is to provide clarity or take that responsibility from a client in terms of providing or providing that necessary information that this is a CA letter, this is how it should be. The CA needs to be registered with SICA, CIBA, and so forth. So when we receive applications and we send the application back, noting that this has not been attended to, there tends to be a back and forth. So accountants, practitioners, please take notes of such. Moving over to the findings of the site visit, key takeaways. Okay, the overall threats, clients indicated a very high satisfaction in terms of the site visit process, highlighting that it is well organized, it is highly effective, and again highlighting the professionalism of the DTIC officials. In terms of the positive insights, again professionalism from the DTIC officials with a rating of 93%. I think we should give our hand to ourselves. 100% are satisfied or very satisfied in terms of the department offering clear explanation as well as constructive feedback. Look for the fact that we have limited time, I cannot go into detail as I would have, but in summary, that has been the key takeaways from our surveys. Thank you.
Thank you, Sapai, for your contribution. I just want to check on the chair if we are slide. Otherwise, we can directly go to questions and answers.
I didn't get the latter part of the question, Ms. Barnett.
I just want to check this one last slide that I can quickly skim through, or do we don't have time, then we can go directly to questions and answers.
I think if it's not going to take more than 5 minutes, you're welcome to do so, please.
No, it's going to take just the last slide then, looking at 2026 and beyond.
Yes. Can I project that for you? Is it still on the same presentation?
Yes. It's on the same presentation, it's just that there we are.
Is it this one?
Thank you. I'm just quickly going to go through here. When we took over the process of recommendation before 2014, it was really difficult. We took over applicants that had business visas, which we couldn't find, difficulties. We've learned from history that firstly we had hand-delivered applications, then we have emailed applications with an online system. We've got security in the process now, we've got standardization. We're not going to go back before 2014. I sometimes do get inquiries, can I please, people that yearn for to go back, we're not going to go back. We've learned from history. So we're looking at 2026 and beyond. There will be a strong participation in relation to the revised white paper on citizenship, immigration, and refugee projection from ourselves. The rest is some of the recommendations that we would like to implement that we can maybe have a separate discussion outside today and just discuss this more, but I know that some people are going to raise eyebrows that by the recommendation from our side that the existing capital threshold should be raised. The 8 million is actually still very conservative because we see in terms of our stats that people are investing quite a lot more than the 8 million, but we feel that it is an adjustment to inflation. So then the last thing that I just want to mention here is we want to propose to Home Affairs that we do away with the undesirable list and implement what we call an exclusion list. This was also something that was brought up in this survey, that people want to have surety on what the department is going to look at and what not. Now, I will share this with Manco from FIPSA so that we can start a focused discussion about it. But, I did mention earlier about applications for passive income, real estate models, and then we're going to look at saturated or low value services, consultancy and professional services, things that we are not readily going to recommend. So also we want to see a regulation sets the framework, professionalism, ethics and collaboration will shape our future. And we want to wish you, this is the last slide and my last comment, we want to wish you a wonderful day ahead. Floyd and Sapai is going to spend the day with you, so they are there to engage with you, get questions, and we can always do a follow-up. And there is my cell number that you can WhatsApp me on or send me an email. And that is the end of the presentation. We can go to questions and answers.
Thank you. Thank you from our dignitaries from the DTIC. The synergy of representation is commendable. Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. Thank you, Mr. Maleka. Thank you to Mr. Griffiths. Babusiphelelo. Siphephetho. Thank you. All right, proceeding on, we are going to be taking questions and answers from the floor. I see there are many questions on the floor. Can I just also ask, ladies and gentlemen, for the interest of time, we're going to be having about 30 minutes. I think we're going to extend our time for lunchtime for about 30 minutes. So we'll have about 30 minutes for question and answers. Can I just perhaps ask the ladies and gentlemen to be prompt with their questions, please? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am Mabuto Nicholas Mabena from the African Diaspora Forum. We have Zimbabwe exemption permit holders who are on business who are not meeting the minimum threshold of 5 million rands, if we understand it correctly. So the challenge that we have been facing in terms of assisting them to apply is that some of them will have something, their investments will come to about 2 million rands. So we are not sure how they could be assisted because we're having challenges with waivers. Then my second and last question, we have those from the SADC region, business people that are making inquiries to us. They are saying that the minimum threshold of 5 million rands, it's a steep. The recommendation or request from them was, is it not possible to slash that by at least 50% for business people within the SADC region who want to invest in South Africa? Thanks a lot.
Can I take another set of questions, please? Thank you.
My name is Eric van Zyl. I've got an immigration consultancy visa, one in Cape Town. I want to say thank you. I have two comments and then I also want to ask a question. I want to thank the colleagues from the Department of Trade and Industry to be, for being here. Also including your colleagues from the Department of Labour. Thank you for facing the floor today. Thank you for answering your emails and also the telephone calls. The fact that the Department of Home Affairs is not here today, I'm not saying that they don't answer their emails, but that's a discussion for another day. Two comments. I'm a bit concerned about the DTIC's sector list that only provides for 5 sectors of businesses that's preferred in terms of applications. If you look at the immigration regulations, there are 18 sectors where the minister will positively consider if you apply for a waiver in terms of capitalization and reduction, meaning which that has already been identified as priority sectors. For argument's sake, hospitality. For argument's sake, tourism. I'm just to name a few. So a request will be, or comment will be, if your office perhaps should look at revisiting your sectors in terms of preferred applications. The second comment that I want to make, and now refer back to the days of West Grove in 2003 and 4 and 5, where the colleague, I don't want to mention names, but everybody knows who he is, not randomly, but effectively gave prospective business applicants the opportunity to apply for a business permit. In terms of not necessarily strictly having a look at what this person is saying is true, verifying documentation, meaning which the approach was different at that stage. They said, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I can see that there's verifiable funds. But, and this is the important thing, and now we come to the Immigration Act. The checks and balances is supposed to be, when it comes to Home Affairs should be ruthless in terms of exercising conditions to business visas, exercising conditions to permanent residency, making sure that there's SARS transfers of foreign investment, making sure there's Department of Labour registered employees. There's so many checks and balances that can be introduced in the process, and that's provided for. It's already in the system. My concern is, initially, the applications for recommendations to the DTIC is more than what I believe appropriate, checked and verified, and not giving foreigners the opportunity to start a business and given the opportunity to invest in South Africa. and also forgetting, remember the second economy, all those business applicants, business visas holders, their families, they stay here, they go to school here, they shop here, their families from abroad come and visit them here. So it is actually, it can be a good facilitator of foreign capital in the business, but also around the business. But that's my personal opinion. The last question I want to ask is about corporate visas. A couple of years ago, we were informed that the Department of Trade and Industry is not involved in corporate visa recommendations. Now it seems that they are involved in the process. I just would like to know a bit more about the procedure. How should we approach your office? Is there a form? Is there a specific list of requirements, and how that process will work in terms of facilitating also the DTIC's recommendation, which a couple of years ago was not applicable. Thanks for the opportunity.
Can I take another set of questions, please? Thank you.
Afternoon, everybody. Candice McGinn from Abroad Scope. Hi, Floyd. Thank you so much. Vilna, thank you so much. My question relates to renewals of the DTI recommendation. I think the concern we have is that if an applicant is looking at the VFS website, they see that a DTI recommendation is required. But at no point does it say you need to approach DTI for renewed Department of Trade and Industry letter, 90 days, if that's what you say you take, or 6 months or 8 months sometimes, to assess an application prior to expiry. So my concern is that what are you doing to effectively stop these people from being non-compliant or without a visa while they wait for the outcome from DTI? And then the second question is, if they need to renew their business visa, the DTI recommendation letter, do they need financials from day one? Or do you just need the last year's financial statements?
Thank you. My question is about your sector specialists and their role in the determination of whether or not a letter of recommendation should be issued. It seems like they play a very significant role in determining whether or not a recommendation is issued. Now, I find that, and I'll give an example, we had an application from a solar importer and exporter, understanding that South Africa is pretty much the gateway into the rest of Africa, so a lot of companies would want to base here as they foray up into South Africa. And the recommendation from the sector specialist was that, you know, there was a policy document somewhere on this sort of space which was talking about investing, focusing more in your manufacturing in the solar PV space, which is a very complex manufacturing space. Very few countries do that. And the recommendation was negative based on that recommendation. Surely, the objective of the Immigration Act is to facilitate investment, and anyone coming with money to invest in starting a new business is going to create employment, and that's a positive thing. Is it not more beneficial for the sector specialists to be making recommendations on conditions to be imposed on granting the visa? So we'll give you the visa, but instead of just importing solar panels and what have you, we want you within the next 5 to 10 years to put down in place to set up a factory so that we can actually grow that. Because that person actually moved on to Zambia and they're doing very well and they're now manufacturing in Zambia. So it's a lost opportunity for the country, yet people wanted to actually base here. And it makes more sense financially. South Africa is a stable financial market in Africa, stable economy in Africa, and it's a gateway to Africa, and it's got more attractive, it makes it more attractive as a result. So perhaps maybe you want to tell us exactly how these sector specialists apply their minds to these processes, having regard to what the Immigration Act says in terms of what an investor must do, and perhaps we can meet halfway there instead of them becoming more of a barrier to the facilitation of investment. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll take another set of questions.
Maxwell again. I just wanted to raise something. In July this year, in Parliament, in a question to the Minister, they said that DTI in 2023 only dealt with 102 business visa applications. 2024, they dealt with 98, and 2025, they dealt with 21. The statistics that they gave, on average, they rejected 50% of the applications. So I just want to say that the DTI colleagues should be talking to the Minister of Home Affairs, because they are responding to giving completely different statistics, and it's a question in Parliament. So you go to the Parliamentary Monitoring Group, question is there in July. The next thing I just wanted to touch on, and it probably links up with what Eric and the gentleman from the Africa diaspora. There is an informal economy which is valued at about 1 trillion rand in this country. Now, they are untaxed at the moment. If anybody wants to generate employment, regulate them, give them an opportunity, let them pay tax, and put in terms of governance, let them employ one South African. I can assure you it will make a big dent in the unemployment, especially in the youth, because they'll be employing youth from that economy. I realize DTI may not have the actual resources, but it's something to be worked on. And the next thing is, you mentioned something about the informal economy in terms of businesses. The number of foreigners that have Uber cars, for example, 10, 20 cars, okay? It's a business that they run. They are funding and they're driving around, and again, they're not paying any taxes. And it's an area that needs to be explored. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll take another set of questions, but can I just allow one question from online, because they have been waiting for quite some time, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue on the floor.
Chairperson, can we just, it's becoming a lot of questions. I'm worried I'm going to lose my train of thought here.
Yeah. Yes, Mrs. Barnett, I thought we could take 5 questions. I think we are on 5.
Okay, no, but I'm at 9 now.
And then
I'm at 9.
Oh, you have 9. Okay. Can I perhaps maybe allow the one online, because they've been waiting for quite some time, and then we can be able to then respond to those questions?
100%.
Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. We've got a question here from Julia Willand. She says that the last slide of the presentation speaks about future to 8 million, and also the removing of waivers. But also they speak about a lower threshold for smaller and more strategic investments. She asks if we can please elaborate on how it's going to be made provision for smaller investments if it's not going to be accommodated with waivers.
Thank you. Mrs. Bennett, thank you. From the floor and online.
Yes, let me do that. I'll start. I made a list. I might miss some of the questions, but what we can do is I'm just going to invite everybody, if I haven't responded to your question in the for the time's sake, you can email me afterwards. Right, in terms of the ZTP holders, we are not receiving as many applications as we did before. We made an active work of that in the division to assist ZTP holders, and we were astonished on how these businesses are actually performing and the high level of compliance. We haven't received so many ZTP applications for business visas, but we recommended, I think, most, and we also then the total number of capitalization. So these ZTP holders can still approach the department for application for business visa recommendation, and we do have a little bit of we view these applications from a slightly different lens, because these applicants have been in country for a number of years, and if the business is doing well, it's in nobody's interest to close a business. In terms of the SADC business region that we want to have the minimum threshold that they feel is too steep. What I'm talking here today is the business visa is actually in other countries called the investment visa. Talking about the investment visa in terms of looking forward, we would like to change the business visa to investment visa. And internationally, the investment visa are not looking at your informal economy and those type of applications. So there might be an opportunity for us to discuss how are we going to accommodate that. But that is not our focus at this moment, but it is a conversation that we need to have as government. In terms of the sector list, I think the sector list is as broad as it can be. The Gazette that I mentioned that was published in 2014 is totally outdated, and we need to update that. So the sector list is, I know it doesn't allow for waivers in certain categories, but that is for the reason being. The investment threshold, if you look at international benchmark, 5 million, it's extremely low. The people attending this Indaba might not agree with us, but we've done extensive research on that, and we need to become also internationally aligned. So let me just say that the checks and balances in terms of the conditions on a business visa that needs to be monitored by Home Affairs. Yes, that's true, but we also need to be realistic in terms of our capacity in departments. So a lot of these checks and balances in terms of conditions fall towards the DTIC in terms of compliance. Why we are seemingly in brackets difficult with the first applications. I go back to my comment that what we've seen with this approach prior to 2014, where people were given chances in brackets to set up their business, and then we could not find them, but they're holders of business visas. That is actually a cruel way of considering application for an investor to come to South Africa. Because if the person comes to South Africa and you know the person is not standing a chance, a couple of years down the line, what are you doing then? This person has settled in South Africa, the children are at school, all those kind of things. It is not feasible to go make the assumption that we're going to give you a chance, do what you want, and then we're going to, after 3 or 5 years, tell you now to close up shop. I think that is a good practice at all. We pride ourselves at the DTIC to see where we've recommended an application, we've done the extension, the person receives permanent residencies, and things are going well. Some businesses does pivot a little bit, especially after COVID. We've seen, we're not heartless, we've seen that, we accommodate that, but I do not foresee a scenario where we are going to say we're going to give you a chance. Yes, we do play a role in terms of corporate visas, but not in terms of your mining and agricultural sector. We don't receive a lot. It's more in terms of big infrastructure, EPC kind of projects, and we do have an application form. You can contact our offices for that, and we do also involve our sector specialists. I don't know, I can't remember this question really. It's about renewals for financial statements. I think Candice did that one, but it was quite a long question. No, we only want the last 2 years of financial statements so that we can see that there is some kind of growth. We understand most businesses won't be making a huge profit, but if you can advise why there's a loss, we look at the applications. The sector specialist is absolutely not a barrier to these applications that we are issuing recommendations with. We are bound by the Immigration Act to look at feasibility and national interest. And where we bring in sector specialists, for example, if I look at the steel industry, there's actually regulations against the exports of billets and ingots. So if we don't include our sector specialists, us few are not so afraid of the regulation changes in different sectors. What was interesting for me is we would have looked at this. I don't want to discuss specific cases, but we do not, as a rule, support importation of goods, especially in the green industry where we have South African capacity. And we've had an interesting case last year where an applicant also wanted to import these lithium batteries. And we made a very strong case against it because we've got South African capacity to manufacture these lithium batteries. And they must, for example, be SABS approved. And if you just allow people to import these batteries, there might be long-term consequences. We should have looked at this application. I'm not sure if that was clear in the application, where you wanted to bring in, I think, solar panels and then manufacture. We do look at that. There is some companies that want to first establish a footprint and then manufacture. We will definitely look at that. Maybe that was missed in the application. But also in the survey, people were mentioning that we should be more approachable and have maybe meetings as well in terms of first applications, that those things are clearer. So my invitation stands. If you want to import first and then manufacture, we will look up the application, but there must really be the manufacturing taking place later. Yes, that question to Parliament in July also had our, we also scratched our heads at the DTIC about the figures that were mentioned, because we actually gave some inputs to that question. What's happening there, we think, and we can't speak on behalf of Home Affairs, the foreign offices, most of our applications are first applications, and the foreign offices don't have capacity to record these applications and the outcome, and I think they were not counted in. So I think that's the huge discrepancy if I look at how many applications we process and what Home Affairs are saying. The reason why Home Affairs are rejecting applications could be something totally different from what we see. For example, we don't ask police clearance certificates. It could be a different reason. But that is a point well taken, and some practitioner also did approach me where we issued a positive recommendation and said this business is in national interest, and the application was rejected by other colleagues to say it's not in national interest, so we are engaging there. I think I did address the informal economy question. And then in terms of the lower threshold, what in the last slide, Julia, what we're looking there at is the start-up visa, where we're looking at a threshold of 1 million. But we are not opposed to say that waivers must be 100% removed, but we don't want to see the situation where most of the applications we receive, there's a waiver. We really need to look at applications. Life is expensive. It's expensive to open a business, and we want people to be able to do that. I'm speaking a lot. I don't know if my colleagues there at the table wanted to maybe add something. I see the chair is looking at them. Are they putting up their hand?
Thank you. Can I have the microphone, please? Thank you. To Mr. Maluleka. Thank you.
Thank you again. I think Ms. Barnard actually said a lot, but I think to add on in terms of the sector specialist input, it's quite important that we do not make decisions in isolation, one, and secondly, I think when you deal with an application that has a 5-year plan, for instance, the applicant needs to be forthcoming. We do understand that there are certain industries that starts off as sales and or assembly and so forth. That needs to be very explicit. And the 5-year plan, whatever plan that they provide, has to make financial sense. We do understand that businesses get money from different sources. But we need to understand that when you apply for a business visa, that isolates you as the business, as the investor. One, you need to actually ensure that you have proof of your own personal investment. And on the system, we do allow for, or we do want information with regards to other fundings. So you will say, okay, for me to operationalize this business plan, I need 15 million. But out of my own pocket, I'm going to invest 10 million that I can prove. The rest of the money is going to be from, I don't know, a bank or from other partnerships, or I've got a secured loan or something like that. So you need to be very mindful when you present, especially for a new business visa, because now we don't want to run into that situation where we recommend businesses based on a feeling. You know, we need facts, because it was done before, or rather, we don't want to run into a situation where we don't look at things factually. So if there is going to be manufacturing, the applicant needs to be forthcoming, and we do look at everything you guys write to a T. The numbers, we do look at those, and the specialists actually help us in this manner. That does the financial aspect literally speak to the business plan part of it, and if it doesn't make sense, well, again, we will have questions. We will engage, especially if it's within sectors that the department promotes. Okay, before I digress. The other aspect of, I think Velna mentioned it with regard to the list of businesses that or industries that we look at on the system. I think one person said the list is not comprehensive. If we had to put that on the system, it will be sheets and sheets and sheets and sheets of information. So what we've done is that under services, you do understand that services industry has sub-industries, your ICTs, your BPO, and so forth. So if you look at the waivable list that was published 2014, it sort of mimics the sectors that, or the industrial sectors that we listed on the system. So for instance, services has subsectors, and it's vast. Advanced manufacturing at least is a bit shorter, but we cannot, we will talk about it when we get to the office, so that we are forthcoming in terms of what actually are the sectors and these subsectors, or the value chains of each sector and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, can I just allow 2 or 3 sets of questions, and then we can be able to break for lunch at 1:30, please. Thank you. Ms. Barnard, if you can bear with us, please.
No, of course, I'm there, and I see the colleagues are also helping. Thanks, Floyd and Saphephetho.
Thank you.
And good afternoon, Ms. Barnard. It's morning just now. I just wanted to ask you a point which you raised about the conflict of interest. If you could please elaborate as to where this potential conflict of interest is arising. That was the first issue. And then the second issue is just a comment from my side, is that investment is about certainty. You speak about risk, etc. So what investors are actually looking at is they're looking for a level of confidence and certainty. So when we propose what you're calling the undesirable categorizations, it would be really useful to know that up front, and not to have manufacturing and find out that you're saying that professional services may be excluded. And so to that point, even if you have to publish a list of 20 pages, which wouldn't be 20 pages, but however long it is, you want to give it to the investors. Because otherwise everyone's putting a huge amount of time and resources to find out that actually this doesn't align to your policy because it hasn't been stated. Thanks.
Thank you. Can I have another set of questions, please?
It's the practical guy again. I just want to know from Mr. Griffiths, can you just repeat for me the stats on the questionnaires that was given out and then handed back into you? What was that again?
Can I get a mic from Mr. Griffiths who will respond, please?
Yes, that was right.
For the recommendation survey, approximately 249 surveys were sent, and the response rate was 33%. Site visits, 49 sent, response rate 13%.
And that doesn't seem to be statistically significant, is it? Come now, do the maths and tell me the truth.
Can I come in here, please? Can I come in?
Yes.
Okay, can I come in here? The statistical significance is not required. It's an opinion-based survey aimed at gathering quantitative insights and support continuous improvement. We intended to highlight perceptions and experiences rather than statistically represent data. And I hope I'm helping you out there, Siphephetho.
Not at all, because a perception is based on exactly how many people respond to what you're saying. That's creating a perception. If you just have one or two people telling a whole room that is their perception, it's not necessarily believable.
Okay, then we differ in opinion there, but that was the response we received back. And we came on
mathematically, we don't differ in opinion at all. That is maths. It's stats.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there one set of questions before we allow responses and then we can be able to break for lunch, please?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to ask a question. My observation here is that the collaboration doesn't look too good between the DHA and the DTIC. How are we going to sort these challenges out, and who do we refer to in terms of sorting out these challenges? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to respectfully request leadership of the DTIC, please, on the questions that have been posed.
Okay, thank you very much. In terms of the conflict of interest, I was referring to the CA certification, and I was specifically the investor where the CA must advise on what was the investment. And what we are seeing is that some of the CAs are acting on behalf of clients in terms of acting as immigration practitioner or assistant. And what we are saying is that could lead to a potential conflict of interest where you are certifying the investment and also doing the application. And in terms of collaboration between DTIC and DHA, there's always room for improvement, but we do have a very effective interdepartmental forum which we do meet regularly, and we do raise issues there. So it's not all a doom and gloom. We do work very well together. I speak to Home Affairs on a very regular basis, as well as my colleagues, and we do inputs in terms of any policy changes or regulations they might have, and our acting DDG is a member of the Immigration Advisory Board, so there is definitely collaboration. It might not be seen as perfect from your side, but we do try our best.
Thank you. So before we proceed with our program, Ms. Nicole Bowman, the Portfolio Committee member from Home Affairs, will be leaving us soon. The FIPSA wanted to express their sincere gratitude, Mrs. Bowman, for the work that you have done, for the amenability for you to be able to carry through the issues, for you to be able to recognize the importance of being able to deal with issues of immigration and reform. On behalf of FIPSA, the gratitude is extended beyond measure. Tomorrow, when they knock on your door, can it be open as much as it is open now? For you to participate, for you to be able to guide, and for you to be able to be amenable to be there at all times. It is with utmost gratitude, and we thank you. Can you give a round of applause, please? Thank you, ma'am. In proceeding with our program for the day, I'm hoping that all the delegates present here are getting an insight with regards to the issues that are here and are presented by our fellow guest speakers and delegates. We are going to be now shining the spotlight on the Department of Employment and Labor, which is central to labor immigration in South Africa. It develops migration policies, it ensures fair labor standards for all workers, including migrants, and helps shape skills planning and labor market testing in partnership with the Department of Home Affairs. We are pleased to have Ms. Nonhlanhla Ngwenya, including Mr. Laiki Twari, who are going to share the department's work and contributions to the sector. Can we welcome them on stage, please, ladies and gentlemen?
Good afternoon again. We'll be presenting, let's hope it's not going to be a graveyard session. I'll be talking about the National Labour Migration Policy, of which it was initiated by the SADC Ministers of Employment of Labour in the SADC region. The purpose was to ensure harmonization of the migration policies within the sub-region. As the South Africa already, we started with the development of the policy. I will provide you an update on that, of where we are in the process with the policy. We have the policy rationale that talks about what is the policy seeks to achieve. I don't know whether it's on my side, but I didn't press anything. Okay. Also, the guiding principle, why the policy was developed, because it was the purpose was to ensure the alignment of policies in the management and processes of labor migration in South Africa. There are 4 key interventions that the policy seeks to address. The first one that we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about all of them, the 4 key areas. It's labor migration governance. The second one, it is data for national labor migration policy, labor migration to South Africa, and labor migration from South Africa. For labor migration governance, the policy will focus on the alignment of policies in the management of labor migration policies. There are challenges that are already identified and the benefits that the policy is going to address. I'm not going to go through all of them. We'll circulate the presentation so that you go through all the information. Also on the data management, the policy is going to address that currently we've got a problem. We don't know who's managing the data for migration in South Africa, because different departments are managing the data for migration. We've got Statistics of South Africa, which is responsible for migration for South Africa, who are already in the country, but they don't have the statistics for South Africans who are working outside. So the Stats SA is going to extend their scope to ensure that they have the database for South Africans working abroad, as well as foreign nationals who are working in the country. You find that Home Affairs, they've got statistics. Department of Labor, we've got statistics. Our statistics is limited because we only issue recommendation. We don't grant visas. Home Affairs has got the final decision. Statistics has got another database. So the policy, it seeks to address that part so that different departments need to collaborate to ensure that we fund stats in one place. It talks about labor migration to South Africa that the policy seeks to address. Labor migration to South Africa is currently what, as the Department of Employment and Labor, we are currently doing. The Department of Home Affairs Immigration Regulation authorized the department to issue recommendation for corporate visa after the amendments that were made, because previously we were doing the general work visas, but with the amendment we are only focusing on corporate visas. We are expected to issue recommendations to Department of Home Affairs. So with that one, is the one that the department will ensure that there is implementation of the skills transfer, of which it's something that is new in the country. That when someone is coming to work in South Africa, there must be skills that is transferred to South Africans, so that we are not keeping on employing foreign national all over again without the skills transferred to the South Africans. So the policy is going to ensure that it is addressed and it is monitored. Also, there will be implementation of quota system. There are a number of sectors that are identified that are employing the number of foreign nationals. There are 6 sectors that the policy is going to focus on, where the quota system will be implemented, where we will check the number of foreigners that needs to be employed in those sectors. Those sectors, it is hospitality. In the hospitality, there are a number of foreign nationals that are employed there. It's constructions, agriculture, security, transport, and private household. They will also review and renegotiate the current bilateral labor agreement signed in the 1970s. Because currently we have those agreements which were signed with Mozambique, Lesotho, Eswatini, and Botswana. So the policy is going to address that. Those policies are reviewed and renegotiated. There are challenges and benefits out of each key intervention area that the policy seeks to address. Then the last one that the policy is going to address is labor migration from South Africa, where we are talking about South Africans who will be working outside South Africa. The department will ensure that it regulates the immigration of South Africans who will be working in other countries. The department will be involved in the recruitment and ensuring that the conditions of employment are safe for South Africans to work abroad. Already the process is, the department piloted with the Ireland. About less than 100 South Africans are already in Ireland. They were recruited through the department and other agencies. They are working there. The employer engaged the department, the interviews were conducted in South Africa, and then they were employed. They are in Ireland. So there are a number of countries who already engaged the department, which is Belgium, Canada. They also want to partner with the department so that they can have South Africans who will go and work in those countries. So the department will be responsible for that. This will assist in addressing the issue of unemployment in the country. The Employment Services Amendment Bill, it is also amended. It is going to address the issues that I've already indicated, especially on the skills transfer and the quota system. Once it is finalized, we will come back and explain how is it going to be conducted. Especially, it's something that is new in the country. We never done it before. So once the framework is developed and ready, we'll come back and explain to you how you're going to ensure that your clients know how to ensure that the skill is transferred to the South African as well as the part of the quota system. Progress to date on the National Labour Migration Policy. The policy was adopted and approved by Cabinet on the 28th of November or the 28th of May, and it was published on the National Government Gazette, and it is ready for referral to Parliament. Once it is approved by the Parliament, then we'll start the implementation, as well as the Employment Services Bill. They all submitted and approved to Cabinet. I will request my colleague, Mr. Zwari, to come. Thank you.